Let's try something a little different this time. And welcome to our now annual Christmas thrifting expedition. And what better time to do such a thing than right after Halloween? Because that's when the annual holiday flea market happens. And yes, those lovely rust stains continue to grow quite impressively. How sad is that? I was born here, visited regularly as a kid and adult, have lived here for a decent while now, and I've still never been to Pioneer Lane. Anyway, as I mentioned, this was shot just after Halloween, and it looks like I wasn't the only one feeling the hangover. Finally, moving indoors, we've got mini Santa clones with their feet firmly on the ground by force. Then, no Scrooges. Guess I better find the door. Oh, hey, wait, I paid to get in here, and it's my thrifting show, and I'll humbug if I want to. Anyway, we've got a snowman who had a little trouble getting his coal eyes and nose on. We got a pair of not quite functional toy soldiers, and, a little bit of revisionist history here. I can guarantee that the baby Jesus did not have electric swaddling. Admittedly, I haven't put up a Christmas tree at the current Archive HQ ever. Part of me was really tempted to just pick up this Charlie Brown one, just for something easy to put up, aside from the evil wooden drag queen Santa. And yeah, a reproduction Reefer Madness poster. Sure, why not? Anyway, we've got GPS fish finders these days, so how about an electric deer call? Yeah, let's just take the sport out of it that much more. Really, really early Beach Boys. Yes, that's a joke. Anyway, digging through the dollar LP bin, it's mostly the usual stuff. Oh, hey, Paul and Paula. Sergey has their Christmas album. The first Survivor album, and allegedly that's a young Kim Basinger on the cover. I have kind of a weird Survivor story, but I think I'll save that for some other time. Yet another Tijuana Brass knockoff Christmas album. It's its own freaking genre. And yes, I picked it up, and yes, we'll play a little over the end credits. Otherwise, Jean-Luc Ponty. Not someone I normally see in the dollar bin. Good old Elvin Bishop. Brilliant guitarist, but I swear he kind of deep-sixed his own career with those god-awful album covers. Anyway, in another bin, a very, very dodgy-looking Dr. John album. I figured it was a collection of some early singles or something, but I guess he's not even on a good chunk of this. Admittedly, I did pick it up to possibly play the Christmas tune on here over the end credits, but it's definitely not Dr. John singing, and it's in the Content ID system. Anyway, I don't do a lot of 45s, but there were some good ones in here. Some 60s one-hit wonders like The Count 5 and The Toys. But the gem here was from Dion, and I'll show it in a second, which I've already got on CD, but the B-side to Abraham, Martin, and John is an absolute killer, and it's the polar opposite of the A-side. Anyway, the other noteworthy one was from Paul Revere and the Raiders, and I've referenced it before, but BFDRF really does stand for Big F***ing Deal, Rat F***. And it's as weird as its title. In the cassettes, a certain level of disappointment. But there was one interesting looking one from Granny. Apparently it's a comedy album, and I'm definitely getting some Wheela Galay vibes from this one. But it turns out she's from right over in Pipestone, Minnesota, so yeah, I guess I'll pick it up for a local flavor candidate. Otherwise, this next one was one of my most prized cassettes at one point. The first Traveling Wilburys album, which commanded some pretty righteous money on the collector's market about 20 years ago. It's since been reissued and the value is tanked. In the CDs, speaking of traveling Wilburys, Tom Petty's Wildflowers, which for all the Petty albums I've owned, this has never been one of them. And for a buck, yeah, I'll take it, even if I think Petty kind of dropped off in the 90s. Found a precious few laserdiscs mixed in with a lot of LPs, including this deluxe copy of The African Queen, with a reproduction copy of the script. And I like this movie, but not enough to store a massive laserdisc set of it. He's got funny ears. The Oddity Archive, your home for hot, up-to-the-minute political humor. Only got a quick look at this VHS, if you will, porta-pack, alas minus the camera. I have absolutely no place to put this, and it looked pretty worn out anyway. I have a Samsung Mini DV camera just like this. It devours tapes. If I ever buy another Mini DV camera, I know what I want, and that ain't it. Anyway, a nice little Trinitron there, which was way overpriced, and a few transistor radios. Wonder if that one in the leatherette isn't the one that Alan Sherman sang about on his Christmas single way back when. You know, the all-time best rendition of the 12 Days of Christmas. This almost seemed tempting until I realized they wanted $125 for an empty box. Otherwise, a stack of Mad magazines. I've already got this issue, but it's missing the record. And so is this copy. Dang. That looks absolutely nothing like the hat Burt Reynolds wore, and you even put a picture of it in there. Stetson must have been desperate in the early 80s. Speaking of Burt Reynolds, some very late period VHS copies of Smokey 2 and 3. All I can say is, for those prices, I want whatever the person running this booth was smoking. Anyway, did I mention this is no longer Benson's Flea Market? It's now called the Black Market. I wish that were a joke. And on to the After Dark portion of our show. Oh, sure, that exercise thing looks benign, but next to it, yes, that is goat skin. And if that's not enough, there's some voodoo stuff in here, like these coyote claws. Is it even legal to possess something like that? I don't want to know. Oh dear, I better pull away before the surviving members of the Eagles sue me. Keyboard Warriors. I'm sure you'll find something to be offended by with that name. Well, it is the holiday flea market, so let's look at some holiday junk. I'm 99.9% certain we've seen some of this stuff in past years, like those Noma lights that are now, no joke, pushing 100 years old. Oh dear, and the Halloween hangover continues. Is it just me, or does Santa look like he's trying to stuff a neon fish? It's a shame they don't have 9 more of those toy soldiers. We could play a really surreal game of candlepin bowling. Duck call light set. So if I try and use it as a duck call, it'll just light up? I don't get the logic here. Well, if this ain't a South Dakota Christmas, I don't know what is. Cheap beer and a snowman that's only lit from the waist down. There is something weirdly poetic about that. And the huge haul from the flea market consists of Granny Roxham with Laughter in Arizona. Geriatric humor, here I come. We've got 3 CDs, the apparent complete Christmas recordings of Lou Rawls. We've got the first clean copy of Marty Robbins' Gunfighter Ballads and Trail Songs that I've ever come across. We've got Tom Petty's Wildflowers. We've got 3 cassettes, all archive candidates. String Bean Svensson's Kitchen Table, and truly one for the Oddity Toberfest pile, the Cletus Gobbleroosh Band, and something called Soviet Rule. Then some archive candidate CDs, 2 from Dave Don't Pay the Perryman, Sincerely Yours, and Keepin' Real Country Alive. We got 4 VHS tapes, an apparent souvenir video of an air show, a possibly bootleg copy of an awful-looking Bob Gilligan Denver vehicle, an early pre-hi-fi copy of Urban Cowboy, and an off-air tape, which was a disappointment, all recorded off the D channel with only fleeting chopped snatches of ephemera. And lastly, a stack of records, the 45 of Dion's Abraham, Martin, and John, Charlie Chaplin's own soundtrack to his final movie. The movie sucks, but I couldn't pass up that LP for $1. Tijuana Voices with Brass sing Merry Christmas. It's another Bugs Bauer special. We got the second album from It's a Beautiful Day. I grabbed their first a year or 2 ago at this same location. And lastly, an incredibly dubious looking, maybe Dr. John album. And we're back at my most common thrift store. Let's see what we get. Right out of the gate, mixed in with the records, I found a whole stash of 16mm films, and I was ready to snag the whole lot until I opened them. Quite possibly the worst vinegar syndrome I've ever encountered. But these seem to have mostly originated from some sort of church-sponsored clinic, presumably up in Aberdeen, so about 4 hours away. There was a lot of sex ed stuff in here, and so you're going to be a parent type films. And there was some regular classroom stuff mixed in there as well. And some of these were even in those kind of funky shipping containers, so yeah, it was kind of disappointing to have to turn these down. But having said that, somebody clearly didn't mind the vinegar decay. These were all gone the next time I came through about a week later. In the LPs proper, Benny the Grim Reaper strikes again. Sometime between my shooting this and doing this voiceover, original Guess Who frontman Chad Allen passed away. And I would have happily taken this LP, but it was totally trashed. I mean, there were some nasty gashes through this thing. Otherwise, I found one of the most common stock LP covers in existence, and I've actually got an album of song poems, if you're familiar with those, that uses that cover. Then I just went past a Tops Records knockoff, which was all tunes from My Fair Lady. Otherwise, the only noteworthy thing here was one of those Music Minus One albums, where you are supposed to supply the missing instrument. It's a practice tool. Unfortunately, these things usually came with books, and I've only ever seen 2 of them with the book intact, and I have them both. As implied, this was not one of them. Anyway, in 1974, someone thought it would be a good idea to make a stage musical about 2 silent film figures, Mack Sennett and Mabel Normand. Even though Bernadette Peters is in this and she's wonderful and everything, I just couldn't warm up to it. Of course, I don't care for most musicals anyway. That might have something to do with it. Oh yeah, and they had a few 78s, but nothing of note. Always gotta check out the Christmas media. I've already got this set of the Garfield Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas specials, but if you ever see this, this is the one to own. It's the only properly transferred and mastered DVD those specials have ever seen. Otherwise, I found one of those cheapy public domain Uber compilations, and I think I've got every last thing on this set elsewhere. And you could probably buy this set new for the $6 that they wanted for it. Now, yes, I saw the Twilight Zone set in there, already got it. But being the Oddity Archive guy, I had to check out this copy of the 1978 Donnie and Marie Osmond Christmas special. Well, that was fun. Otherwise, we've got the not Charlie Brown Christmas Peanuts Christmas set. And yeah, just a whole lot of stuff that I already have or simply don't care about. I remember Trapped in Paradise. What a waste of talent. Otherwise, yeah, it's a pretty sad selection of Christmas VHS. And wake me when a copy of that other 90s Jack Frost movie turns up. Let's see, any deep cut nuggets for me in the Christmas music? No, of course not. Just a bunch of stuff I've already got or couldn't care less about. And to boot, there were only 6 cassettes to choose from this time, and they were all total bummers. I'm still on the lookout for a proper 80s Casio tone, and this ain't it, obviously. But its limitations are kind of amusing if you want to pause and read them. I don't know, maybe it's because I had just finished the Archive soundtrack album, but I just wasn't feeling this at all. Certainly not for 26 bucks. Well, you don't see a VHS deck with the manual intact every day. Very improperly taped to the unit. But I'm not looking for any VHS stuff right now unless it's, something unique and or high end. And what's with this whole $26 thing? Is that just the arbitrary price for electronics now? Anyway, apparently this crappy golf video game was an arcade hit at some point. And nothing says dorky like playing a golf video game with a trackball. Otherwise, an aftermarket PlayStation controller and some crappy kitty VTech handheld thing. Whatever. Still on the lookout for a narrow, dedicated subwoofer. And this fooled me. This is actually standing on its side. Yeah, this is supposed to be a short, fat one. And the Pioneer might have been tempting had someone not tried to, dismember it. The CD player on my Denon mini stereo croaked just a few days after I shot this. I think fate was thumbing its nose at me here. Otherwise, I found some kind of weird massage pillow sort of thing. Found another one of those 8mm editor viewer deals, but I know exactly what model I want now, and that ain't it. While looking to replenish my stock of ideally very well-shielded AV cables, I found a truly ancient extension cord, I would guess from the 50s, and it looks like it was already a fire hazard back then. Really, I'm just perversely impressed with this. I didn't pick it up because, well, I don't want to burn down Archive HQ. Well, that position looks painful. Anyway, you gotta love these weird, misspelled craft fails. Either that or this belonged to a lawyer with a warped sense of humor. Ugh. Looks like Christmas puked its brains out. Yeah, Santa. I don't think the Amish hipster look is working for you here. Well, I think I've hit the mother lode of Christmas crap. Bungee baubles, whatever the hell that is. Is that a Christmas edition of Trivial Pursuit? Looks like something you'd be forced to play at that Christmas party you don't want to go to. And apparently liquefied Christmas trees are a thing. Either that or someone was serving tree sap at a party, the party you don't want to go to. Am I the only one that sees the conceptual flaw to this? Wouldn't regular tepid water cause the snowman to melt? Yeah, crappy jokes aside, my parents owned a few water meters. Yes, we did real trees most years, and those things flat out did not work. Found this quite festive wooden stake. Hey, vampire hunting doesn't stop during the holidays. Oh, I don't think I like kinky Christmas. Yes, Santa is wearing a bra. And, oh god, they've even reproduced his old man sagging skin. Dare I press the button? Here goes nothing. I think we just had our Christmas miracle there, which is great because I get enough nightmares already. This archive Christmas has been brought to you by Old Dutch Potato Chips. Just try and choke some down after that last bit. And the modest haul from this store consists of Roxette's Joyride album, marking my third thrift store Roxette album, and a rather cryptic looking LP simply titled You. It's not credited to anyone, carries no copyright info, but I did eventually find out what it was. And the all media final haul for this episode consists of 5 LPs from the Tijuana Voices with brass, a very dubious looking, probably not Dr. John album, one of Charlie Chaplin's soundtrack efforts, and the second album from It's a Beautiful Day, and something simply called You, which as it turns out is from Amoco Oil and Gas. We got a 45 from Dion, which I mostly got for the B-side. We've got 6 CDs from Marty Robbins, Tom Petty, 2 from Dave Perryman. We've got Lou Rawls's Christmas thing, and the Roxette CD. We've got 4 audio cassettes from Charles Smith and the Cletus Gobblersch Band, String Bean Svensson, and Granny. Just Granny. We've got 4 VHS tapes, a very disappointing off-air recording from the Big Evil D channel with about 6 seconds of ephemera, a souvenir tape of an air show, an awful-looking Bob Denver Forrest Tucker vehicle, and an early copy of Urban Cow Pie, or a Cowboy. And the cost of this haul came out to about $30. And that's going to be it for this installment of Archive Thrifting. Next week will be this year's main Christmas special. I'll talk to you then.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Da, 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 da. Our job is you, and we won't forget it. You expect more from Amoco, we'll see that you get it.